hope my phone won't fall. So, as usual, I'm going to talk about something to read. I decided to talk about the latest National Geographic magazine from the month of May. I know you got used to books, but I'm a big fan of this magazine, so I considered a really interesting number to talk about. So this is the issue. It actually came at the right time because I am really passionate about insects and everything connected to this tiny world of insects. So it's pretty colorful, it's pretty nice. So just to gather up a few subjects, it talks about autism, insects, a World War II heroes. It's a very interesting number. That's why I love National Geographic. All of their numbers are so well written, so documented. You can find out so many things, and I never even realized how endangered are the insects and everything because of us. Well, yes, Anthropocene. So it starts with love, work, and other challenges. It talks about adults with autism. So, Susan Goldberg is the author of this test, and it really impressed me because autism is really something quite misunderstood, and having a kid with autism must be quite a difficult challenge as a mother. So in the article it talks about Judith Newman, who has a son of 18 years old and he has autism, and the author talks about it and mentions Sigmund Freud, that says that love and work, it's actually the milestones of our lives. So it's pretty impossible for autism adults to have love or work. That makes it even more difficult for them. So a study showed that 8 from 10 autistic adults can't work, so they are not working, and it's quite an issue because a lot of them are being ignored by society, or people just avoid them, which is very, very sad. This is a couple of short little introduction to the magazine stories. I really enjoy the story of the heroes from the World War II. Over 66 million of people died then, and it's like a celebration from it has been past 75 years from Victory Day. So National Geographic made an article to celebrate it. Okay, so we will be seeing a couple of interesting stories. This one I really liked. As you've known, Italy has been affected quite a lot by the COVID virus. A photographer had a really nice intention and initiative. He started to go around the neighborhood and make portraits. Yeah, so this guy took his camera and went into the neighborhood and started photographing people sitting alone, alone in solitude during quarantine. He wanted to, I don't know, um, show this hidden life of people that are sitting alone on quarantine. This is a couple, so they knew they were being photographed and they were sitting at the photo to have their picture taken. So yeah, this is a couple. Really nice initiative. So people with their kids also sitting at the photos. Another couple, this is like a couple that isolated themselves quite early. Hello, hello, I'm well, thank you very much. And again, this is another couple that isolated themselves quite early, being so afraid of this coronavirus. So yeah. So this photographer is quite a nice initiative, and he says the thing that corona did to people, that like people walking on the streets avoid themselves. And he saw an episode which really like shocked him, like from an accident, a person touched another person. Yes, this could be. I know I have a very soothing voice. I know. Thank you. And in a store, a person accidentally touched another person, and that person went hysteric, was like, don't touch me, don't touch me. And this photographer was shocked to see this behavior of people during quarantine. So yeah, very shocking. So he wanted to document what quarantine is doing to people. So the next article is about the science of panicking. Why do we panic? What makes us? What triggers us? What's behind that panic thing? Hello, Adam. Hello. You're never missing me. Never. Nice. So today I'm going to talk about National Geographic issue. So, our brains in panic mode. Why do we panic? What makes us panic? How can we stop it? So, interesting thing. People are bad evaluators of distress situations. We over exaggerate or underestimate the danger. We are most likely never correctly evaluate the danger. Why is that? The amygdala is the emotional center of our brain. The amygdala is making us have that reaction of run or fight. So actually we're quite primitive little animals in front of danger. And panic is produced when the rational part of our brain, the frontal cortex, is overwhelmed by emotion. So, long story short, the amygdala sabotages the rational part of our brain. So that's when panic happens. So, a very interesting story about panic, about a woman during a bombing thing, like the city was under a siege, under attack, and the woman heard a sound that looked like the city was bombed, and she was so panicked that she went outside of her house thinking that somebody is bombing the building. She realized that the incident of explosion happened across the road, and she forgot her baby inside the house. So that's panic, guys. That's like even a mother under panic. She forgot her baby. She was so panicked. Her brain was so flooded with emotion that she just wanted to run away. So, yeah, so that's why during quarantine and during this pandemic, people are reacting really bad at other people that are not wearing a mask, or people that are getting too close to you. And it has been a study on chimpanzees, which again show that we're not very far away from them. And it has been done an experiment in 1966, at a zoo where a chimpanzee got polio, and polio is a disease that really destructs the look of your face, and other chimpanzees started to avoid the sick chimpanzee with polio because of his appearance. So it's like a stigma, and that's why they avoided. So again, during quarantine and COVID, I saw people avoiding, also in my country, avoiding other people that don't have masks, like get away from me, don't touch me. I go on the other side of the street. Amazing, we're not very different from chimpanzees, unfortunately. Okay, so that's very, very hard to deal with panic. We're not used to live situations that in which the probabilities are changing fast. So we do not like change, and we do not like change that happens fast. So the panic phenomenon also depends if you're pessimistic or an optimistic. The pessimists are imagining post-apocalyptic scenarios, and the optimists imagine that nothing will ever happen. So actually it's better to be an optimist, because if you're a pessimist, you're going on the anxiety role and you can't get out anymore, and the brain is actually modifying itself because of stress, and it's very, very not healthy. So we are not meant to sit in long stressful situations. So try to reduce this panic and try to get a hold of your emotions and put them to a stop. Another article which I found extremely fascinating about these little creatures and about their horns. Actually, cancer genes are making the horns grow. Amazing! Scientists are amazed about this thing, and they can grow with 20 centimeters in 2 weeks, and they're weighing almost 30 kilos. So scientists are really fascinated by this, because if they could discover how to use cancerous cells on their good side, it would be fascinating. Isn't nature and animal world fascinating? So again, an experiment with frogs, just because a few scientists consider quite unethical to dissect the little frogs. Sin frog has synthetic tissue, so they're no longer using a live frog. And a funny thing, yeah, frogs are full of formaldehyde. So I didn't know that. I didn't know that frogs can be packed with formaldehyde. So actually it's quite a dangerous thing to dissect frogs. And I love this initiative. In California, by 2023, they are planning to say no to those one of a kind, only one use shampoo bottles. You know, in hotel rooms, you get all those uh, plastic little things and you like use them once. They are going to be prohibited legally in California. So they will be using this kind of thing. It's like a soap bar, and you just use it and that's it. It's gonna melt away in your hand, in your hair, and you're just going to use it. So what are they doing by this? They're avoiding to utilize 3,600 kilos of plastic per year. So they're avoiding a lot of plastic use. So I'm happy for this. The next article is about a photographer reporter going in North Korea. So he's trying to get nice images from there, but it's quite really hard because there is a certain censorship in North Korea. You have to make photos the way they want it, where they want it. So this photographer told, ooh, the phone. This photographer told that he started to photograph while walking, while running, holding the camera on the hip, and like trying like to make a little photo from there. Quite smart. And he wanted to show the real people, like the lives of normal people, not what the authorities wanted. So yeah, quite difficult to go there and make genuine photography. So anti-pandemic therapy. It's about a guy, Daniel David, who is a renowned let's say he has a lot of titles, from professor at the university specialized in clinical psychology, supervisor in psychology. He's like the guru of psychology in Romania. So he's saying about a lot of anti-pandemic therapies, and he says that the control at this phenomenon is within ourselves. So he talked about it, the importance of not checking unauthorized sources of information. Practically, what he says is like, do not go on an information spree roll trying to bombard yourself with how many people died, what is happening, which are the symptoms. I heard about people having like the illusion that they're being infected and I'm getting feverish, I'm getting that. Don't go there. I mean, if it were for me, which I do, I actually don't watch it at all what's happening. I just manage to find out from people that are talking to me. I'm not watching TV and I'm not watching how many people die per day due to corona. So it's very important to find a routine, to invest in your hobby, to take your mind off of it. Even if you work from home, try to make a routine. So yeah, okay, I loved this. This is about, I was amazed. This is about World War II heroes. Their stories are amazing. I feel so humble. I mean, I'm so far away from doing things these guys did, and I have like a huge respect for them. Amazing. So very interesting. The photographer is Robert Clark. So here we go. This is a couple of pictures with heroes, and each and every one of them will have their story told. This guy doesn't he have a lot of personality? Look at this picture. Very nice portrait. Loved it. Okay, this is a picture. Yeah, this is a picture in 1945. The Soviet soldiers are rushing to claim Berlin. So the Berlin was in ruins and the Soviets have won, and the soldiers were rushing to claim their victory. Yeah. This is a picture of from Iwo Jima, one of the bloodiest battles of the uh, war from Pacific. After 5 days of continuous battles, um, the American Marines put the American flag. Yeah, it's quite sad to see that people were in war and killing themselves, and it's so sad. So this is a guy in 1942. When he was 15, he was called to go in the military and serve for the emperor. So he says Nobuo Nishizaki, a Japanese veteran, and he says that we were sent to die for the emperor and for the imperial nation, and everybody was behaving like we truly believe. But this went really deep with me. When the soldiers were dying, the young are calling for their mothers and the older for their children. I never heard anyone calling for the emperor or for the imperial nation. Yeah, so they were fighting for something that actually didn't have so much value. But yeah, a lot of people had to conform and go and be part of this. I don't know, I find this kind of war is just, what's the purpose killing so many people? So from the 66 millions of people who died, almost 70% were civilians, including 6 million Jews killed during the Holocaust. So a lot of victims. So I love this young lady. I mean, she's not young. She is like 97. Fun facts, guys. All these veterans are over 90 years old. They are living like centenarians. And can you think, I was really thinking about this after I've read the magazine. I was like, people avoid dangerous jobs thinking, oh, I will die or something will happen to me or I'm not going to risk my life. And these people went in so many risky life situations and they managed to live for so long. I think like God from above has like a guardian angel over them and helps them to live so long. Fascinating. So this cute lady, Betty Webb, from the British intelligence, and she says that she wanted to do more with her life for the world than baking sausage rolls. So yeah, quite a feminist. So she when she was 18, she was recruited for decoding the secret things, the secret codes from the Germans. She was top notch. She did an amazing job, but it was confidential where she worked. It's called Bletchley, and her parents never knew what she did because they both died. So her parents didn't live long enough to know that their daughter made this huge service for the British intelligence. And the secret that she worked for the British intelligence after all the war was done made it very difficult for her to find a job because she had nothing in the resume because she couldn't disclose. But there were people that also worked at Bletchley, and a guy recognized, like, she put a resume and she told, I worked in Bletchley, and that guy like hired her on the spot because he was also there. So yeah, working in British intelligence is quite hard. This is another guy, Yevsei Rudinsky, Soviet navigator. He's also very old. I love this woman, Maria Rokhlina. A lot of Soviet Russian names. I love. Look at her. Like, this woman, like, breeds dignity. I mean, look. I love the portrait. So she also served for the military when she was 16. She became a nurse. She served for 4 years. So much. Have you noticed? Have you noticed? Amazing. Oh, oh. You feel humble. I felt so humble after reading this. So she helped the injured soldiers. She had to she had to paddle with her hands because she lost her paddles when she was transporting a soldiers, and she had to use her hands in the cold, freezing water. She has daily injections in her wrists to comfort the pain, the sacrifices. The winter, the temperature was under 20 degrees. Rokhlina got sheltered with the military in a tractor factory. They had to. I love this. Oh, I get goosebumps that I now I'm rereading this. Because they had to take shelter in this tractor. Great stories in this tractor factory. It was minus 20 degrees. They were having no heating methods. They had to heat themselves with their bodies. They stayed like close, and she remembered forming such strong friendships with her comrades that even now they talk about warming circles. That's how they called those moments, the warming circles. People serving military in utter cold, getting heat comfort from their own bodies, being there. So amazing. But why did I love this story even more? Because a Soviet soldier promised her when he saw her for the first time that he would marry her if they were survived the war. They did, and they were married for 48 years. Oh, that's so lovely. Like, you know, that thing, like, he saw her, he promised her, it happened, and they live like, oh, I love this. So during the war, guys, so imagine now a guy can't hold a promise during modern days. And during those times in war, in, you see character, men were different, I don't know, but so cute, so cute. So oh, I love this story. Victor Gregg, a British carabiner. This is the guy. So, long story short, I love this page, you see. So yeah, in 1937 he was recruited, and he actually got captured and sent into a work place in Dresden, Germany. In that winter, he tried to escape twice, but as a punishment, the Germans sent him to work at a soap factory. Him and another prisoner of war sabotaged the factory, burning it to the flames. They got sent to a death penalty. So the Germans planned like to kill them for this attempt, for this successful attempt of burning the factory. But destiny intervened. So he got sent to a death sentence the next day, but fate intervened. In that night, the British planes and the American planes started to bombard Dresda. The prison got hit straight away, and Greg managed to escape through a broken wall. So I found it like, oh, almost like in the movies. It's like you get sent to death and you're like thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna die. But somehow somebody drops a bomb on the prison that you are and you manage to escape through a wall. How amazing is this? True life story. Amazing. So this is Russell Clark again from the American military. So he had a hernia. Yeah, what a lucky escape. He had hernia. He worked in a farm, and he thought that maybe he won't be able to go to military just because of that hernia, but he managed to do that. So yeah, Wilhelm Simonson, German pilot. He's also 97 and something. And I was like, he still remembers to this day the smell of the bodies, of the rotting bodies under the places that were bombed. And he got so impressed by the utter smell of putrefaction and of decay of the human bodies trapped under those places that he promised to himself he will never throw a bomb over a human being. So he got instructed as a hunting pilot, and he had missions, night missions, to intercept the British bombardiers. So yeah. This is Shizuyo Takeuchi, a Japanese survivor. So this is Boris Smirnov. Again, worked as a nurse. He was shocked. He was shocked that in 1944, the team that he was a part of got bombarded and shot with no mercy by the Germans, and he describes that the Germans were sitting on the other side and they were laughing and making fun of the fact that they were shooting soldiers just like ducks. It was a game. The horrors of the war, what war makes to people, like it affects their mind so much that killing other civilians was a game. They were becoming like completely inhumane. I was like, how can you have fun? How can you? It was a game. It was a horror for. He was terrified. Yeah, and he has a list. Oh, I got goosebumps. And he made a list with all of those his fallen comrades that he watched being killed. So yeah, he's very close to that document. He keeps it very close to him. This is Harry Stewart, another American hero. So yeah, not a lot of Afro-Americans were allowed in the war. So in 1945, over 1.2 million Afro-Americans were military in Europe and Pacific. So very interesting. He got rejected the first time. It was a lot of racism. Imagine the power of racism, that even in war, when you need people, you get rejected. So yeah, actually after he got rejected, he went for the University of New York, got a degree in mechanical engineering. He managed to find work and traveling to North America, Orient, Europe. He went to Michigan. In 2018, he traveled in Austria for the first time since the war as a guest of the Austrian government. So yeah, very, very interesting. So this is quite a technical. That's why I love National Geographic. The details in the stories and the way they document everything, it's amazing. These are the losses of war in human lives. Yeah, quite sad. Romania, look at here. Romania is quite here. 820,000 people. The Soviet Union had the biggest. These are people. These are human lives in a chart after so many years after the war. Can you imagine how many people died and are here in a chart to show us the horrors of war, the horror. Yeah, so the Soviet Union, it's like, this is like the darkest part is civilians. The purple, the orange, the orange is the militaries of the Axe, and the gray is the allies. So civilians, a lot of civilians were innocently killed during the war, and most civilians are from the Soviet Union. 25 million civilians. Yeah. This is from China, India, Japan. China had only 10 millions. Yeah, amazing, only 10 millions. So this is a lot of, for those who love war history, this is a very, very detailed map of how everything evolved. It's quite detailed. I'm not going to get really deep into it, but I totally recommend you buying this if you are into war history. And again, with defeating Japan in 1942, again a very detailed map of that. Not going to enter. And I love National Geographic because this is like the peak of brutality, and this is throughout the human history. How many people died in the wrong kind of wars, from medieval to everything. Incredible how many human lives were sacrificed in the name of war. Very troubling statistics. Yeah, the highest number were like in Genghis Khan, in the Genghis Khan time frame, 40 million people died. It's estimated that the 10% of world population got exterminated during Genghis Khan. Yeah. But nothing overcame the Second World War with 66 million people dying. So National Geographic made an index of atrocities. Guys, reading this shows us that people can go so wrong in so many ways. um, I don't know what did those wars get. What like what's the purpose of going into war? Like, why do that? Why kill so many people? Why fight for territories? Like, why do that? Yeah. Another yeah, so many lives lost. Like, what's the purpose? I don't see the purpose for territory, but it's not like we can take the territory with us after we die. Why do that? I don't get it. Another hero, Eugene Polinsky, a navigator of the United States. Okay, I was impressed by this guy's story. His job was so risky. Um, he is now a producer awarded with Grammy, an actor, and he piloted in clandestine missions over Belgium, France, and Norway that were occupied by the Nazis during the war. Uh, so his crew from 8 people were parachuting allies, arms, motorcycles, money, and other supplies vitals for the fighters. He's 99 years old now, and he was very young. He didn't know what he was doing. So Polinsky was the son of Russian Jew immigrants. He went to England, and he was navigator. He was a navigator. So when they were approaching the parachuting area, the pilot was going under 100 meters, and when he saw the lights of signaling, they parachute things. Over 200 colleagues of Polinsky were incarcerated, disappeared, or killed in the battle. And he talked that you could see the replacements of 18 years old. And if you were 23 and you were still doing this job, you were a veteran. So can you imagine the possibility of you dying doing this kind of job? So in August 1944, after a successful parachuting over Belgium, the Polinsky crew got back from the 35th mission, the magic ticket through home, and they got an order to forget everything and get back to their normal lives. So amazing. So he had such a stressful, prone to dying job, and he managed to survive. So again, a lot of heroes, and I got so excited because there is a Romanian hero in the magazine. So we have a Romanian hero in the National Geographic magazine who is worldwide known and unique. Oh my god, I didn't know that. So let's start with a couple of more heroes. Igor Morstein and Valentina Lukianova. They were working in the same factory, and they were friends for 40 years. They both remained widows, and they remarried with themselves. Like, they were very good friends. They were both married, but they got widowed. So after that, so they were saving it. They were saving babies. They were saving abandoned babies from the cities that were devastated from the war, and I was so impressed by one story. that 4 years ago they got a phone from a committee of veterans. A woman was searching for Igor, for this guy, and um, she managed to find out that she was one of the babies that was rescued by him, and he gave his name to that baby because they didn't know what name to give to babies, and that's why. Like, can you imagine? He saved the life of a baby, of so many babies, and one of these babies grew old and searched for their savior. So, like, I was so touched by this. Um, so Arthur Maddox, he is, yeah, isn't that amazing? So, like, amazing. This is a British code cracker, like he was like a hacker of codes, and he worked to crack this Lorentz cipher, the the crypted message system only used by Hitler and his generals. And he got help of Colossus, the first digital computer of big scale from the world. So, yeah, look at this guy. He did it. Okay, hello. I am getting to the Romanian hero from National Geographic. I couldn't believe my eyes that a guy from my own country is world renowned for his service during the Second World War. Like, I'm blabbling, I'm so excited. So, he is called Ion Dobran. This is his name, Ion Dobran. He is still living. He is a hunting pilot from Romania. He has 101. He is 101 years old. Guys, can you imagine going through war and still living? So he is the last. He is the last Mohican of the Romanian pilot team still alive. He was 22 years old in 1941 when he graduated the School of Aviation. He fought on the Eastern Front. He piloted ER-80 Romanian planes and Messerschmitt. He offered a volunteer on 1944. So he was a very good pilot. He was flying over Bucharest to defend Bucharest from attacks from the German planes Heinkel and Stuka. So on 9 of May 1945, on Victory Day, he launched for the first time a banner with instead of a bomb. This is fascinating about this guy. This is the guy. He is still living, and he's living in my country, in Romania. Oh my god. So Dobran, he is 101. He is the only pilot in the world, still alive, that managed to fight and to put down in the battle American, Soviet, and German planes. He has 11 Aryan victories confirmed. Oh my god. So, another thing that I found utterly fascinating was that when he was 91 at Bucharest, General Dobran shook the hand of the American Colonel Barry Davis, that he managed to make a forced landing 66 years before. So he managed to meet with his enemy after 66 years and shook his hand. It's like, yeah, I remember you. I made you forced land 66 years ago during the war. Hello. How amazing is that? It's like, oh my god, amazing. So the stories of this world, hello, like, this is, guys, this is another level of friendship and camaraderie, like the dignity and the character that you have to shake the hand of your enemy and respect him. And I loved this story. Oh, I was like, yeah, you go, Yondobran. Mutual respect, exactly, so important. So yeah, I'm so proud. He's Romanian, so proud. So another survivor, he is a painter now. Fred Fred Terna is a survivor of the Holocaust from Czechoslovakia. So actually, a short time after Fred Turner arrived to Terezin, a concentration camp from the Nazis in 1943, he started to make sketches. He started to make drawings of the beds. He started to make drawings of the people that were waiting for their food ratios. He started to make drawings of the train trails that were taking the prisoner to Auschwitz. He signed some sketches with a symbol that the soldiers couldn't identify who was the person behind the drawings. But the drawings, I love this. The drawing represented a memory of his humanity. Oh my god. So he did this, he drew and he made art just to feel he is still human, that he is still feeling pain, seeing those atrocities, that he didn't go numb and indifferent to this. So drawing like a method to remind yourself you still are a human, you're not degrading your character in the world. Okay. After 40 years after the war, Terna discovered that somebody managed to save his drawings from the Terezin camp, and those drawings were in Israel. So his drawings are now historic documents. Amazing. So yeah, amazing. Janine Burke, another survivor of the Holocaust. This is the woman. So she remembers one morning, her father took her in the other part of Bruxelles, and he said goodbye. And she didn't know she was a kid, but her father was soon to be arrested by the Gestapo, and he was about to die in Auschwitz, gas chambers. So actually this, I get goosebumps. Her father left her at a Christian woman, an acquaintance of him, and she was protected there by this Christian woman. This woman made her hide in behind the toilet, or when the soldiers were coming to check if anybody is there. So this woman protected her. So in 1944, her mother who lived that her mother was hiding in the countryside, and she couldn't come to get her. So that's why her father took her to this Christian woman, and in 1944 her mother came and got her back. But Burke didn't see the woman that hide her during these times, and she regretted her, and she said that she's crying because she never got to say thank you to this woman. So a complete Christian woman, a complete stranger, took care of her when she was a kid and saved her life, and she's still crying to this day. She didn't manage to say thank you. Yeah. Okay. Waltraud Plus, a child survivor from Germany. She has a picture with her as a child. Look. See, this is her as a child. So she was discriminated for being a refugee, and after the war there were problems with the food, with everything, and people were like jealous that why do we have to receive these immigrants? We already have problems with our food. Why do we have to feed them? Why don't they just go and die? People were cruel. Cruel. She talks about an episode when a Russian soldier raped her when she was a kid. She ran away to tell to her mother at home, but her mother started to scream at her, and she started to scream at her mother, and her mother was just silent. The shock of war was so much on people that people just didn't react to the horrors of war. Her mother didn't react to the horror of her daughter being raped. That's the power of trauma and the power of war over the human brain. Disturbing. So in the decade that followed her, they lived in extreme poverty as immigrants. They lived, how do you call that thing where pigs live? How do you call it? Oh, I have a lapsus of word. The place where you hold your pigs. This is where they lived, in that kind of place, in barns, and after that they managed to find a small apartment in which to stay. So in the post-war years, a lot of people looked at immigrants as another mouth to feed, and they were resenting them, and they got really bad behavior just because they were refugees. And I loved this thing that she said. She said, I was just 9 years old. The war is not my fault. Oh my God, yes. But when people are in immense distress and in panic and in war, people are animals. People turn to animals. People turn to survival mode at the beast level. Really disturbing. I love this article of National Geographic. I love the stories. I love the stories of people who managed to live 90 years old, but I definitely took a sad look to the bad side of humanity. Yeah, we never should forget this, and always have history reminding us of how people can turn to the other side. Very inspiring stories. That's why reading is so important, because reading reminds you of stories. Reading can get you in touch with stories, with quite an emotional thing attached to them. So yeah, I love this part of National Geographic. Really, really inspiring. The next article, so no more with the war. The next article is about Italy. The atemporal. I don't know what I have today. I keep on blabbering because I think I blabber when I'm very excited or I like something quite a lot and I blabber. So, the atemporal paths of Italy. So, in Puglia and other, I love this because it's about transhumance, and I love transhumance. I think it's a very nice tradition, and it should not disappear from planet Earth. So, in Puglia and other pastoral regions from the world, the migration during the seasons is a tradition. So transhumance is a tradition. Yeah. So he talks about a guy, Nunzio Marcelli. He gathers his flock of 1,000 sheep. Oh, I would dream to have a flock of 1,000 sheep. Oh, I would love to have a little farmer. So he gathers his flock with 1,000 sheep, and he goes from home from the medieval village Anversa degli Abruzzi from Apennine Mountains, and he makes 50 kilometers to marry the shepherd. I think I would like it, but I would like it like not being like all the time, but I think I would love the idea of like having a long walk through the mountains, and yeah, I think I'd like it. So so Nunzio Marcelli gathers his herd and his flock, and he's going 50 kilometers on the foot for 3 days. He's 65 years old, and he's going through an alpine place to have his sheep eat the best grass that they can. So this road from the farm to the summer place is called Tratturo, like something like going. Yeah, at 65, imagine doing transhumance with your flock at 60. Isn't that amazing? I wish I could do that. Maybe I will, who knows. So one of the villages on which he is going through is the Castrovalva, with 12 inhabitants, only 12. So very, very interesting. So yeah, this is like the bells that the cows are wearing during on their necks. And it's really like a tradition to keep them. This is like pictures. Look at this little sheeps. This is like haircut. This is haircut time for the sheeps. And they are singing from the bagpipe, and the bagpipe is connected with Pan God, and Pan God was worshipped by the shepherds a long time ago. So this is William Rhind, a Maori from New Zealand, Adam, that is haircutting the sheep. It takes him 80 seconds to cut a sheep, like to do the haircut of a sheep, military style. 80 seconds. This guy is fast. So this is another like holiday in Italy with girls with baskets on their heads, and on 1st of May the city of Coculo from Abruzzo is celebrating Festa dei Serpari. Women in local suits are carrying baskets with bread, while Serpari are the people that know how to deal with snakes. So yeah, why this event? This event was born from the habit of transhumance and the snakes that shepherds meet on the road. Really? I used to watch a competition like I once wanted. I had like a thing like I was thinking, what if I could buy a machine to cut sheep's hair, and I could do a little bit more money. But actually, it's quite expensive. A professional cutting cutting the hair of the sheep. But I had this idea in mind. But I think a competition would be even more fun to see who cuts the sheep faster. So, sheep and goats were through the first animals that people domesticated over like 10,000 years ago. The first people that established. Okay, no more revealing of my past in my streams. So, the first people that established in the Hulayan Valley from the center of Mount Zagros from Iran were the shepherds who started to do transhumance. In the Tigray mountain from Ethiopia, the shepherds are moving their cattle, sheep and goats. In Bhutan and Nepal, this habit of transhumance is including yaks, buffaloes and cattle. And interesting thing I didn't know, in Bosnia, shepherds are doing transhumance with pigs. I didn't know that. I only thought it was a sheep thing. But transhumance with pigs, so interesting. Those are happy things. So yeah. So again, in the article, they talk about Tulomotiri, traditionally maturated cheese from that which was being held in goat skin. Interesting. And one of the farmers talks about the blue mold that is forming between the cheese and that skin, and he is taking that mold and incorporating it into the cheese. I only ate one time this noble blue cheese. I got sick. I threw up. It's like I was thinking like, what have I done? I intoxicated myself with mold. I don't know, something. Maybe it was the wrong cheese. Maybe I don't have like the right stomach. I don't know. I am willing to try it again someday because I heard like cheese with grapes, with fruits. But I'm scared of the moldy cheese now. I'm scared. Like, you know what I'm thinking? Like, I'm thinking like at the mold from the walls. And I'm thinking like I'm eating that mold with the cheese. It's very hard for my head to process it. Either way, must be delicious. So yeah, this is a map with like the I know it's not wall mode. I know it. I'm smart enough to know it. My brain is making that association. I know. The brain wonders. So these are like a map of the roads of the transhumance roads. I'd love to do this kind of thing. I think I love it. Like, I think with cattle is a bit more difficult, But riding, I would love to see how it's like to be on a horse, but I'm a bit scared of the horses, but I don't know. Um, so this is the trip of Colantuono family. So interesting thing, UNESCO recognized transhumance um, as a tradition for its cultural meaning. Fascinating. Stop making fun of me. I would love to be a little farmer. Why? I think I would. I would like it. So in Nepal, the shepherds are using a yak milk to make a traditional cheese called churpi. Um, there is another type of cheese in Spain, idiazabal, with a smoke flavor because it was maturing next to the place where they made fire during their rustic rock stone, little like cabins, something like that, and they were making fire inside that little rock cabin, and that the smoke from the fire gave a pleasant aroma to the cheese. I would eat that. I think I would. Yum yum. And in the Alps, there is a milk called Hill milk. German. And German means hay milk. I could show you the word. You German, like, look, this is the word. Like, can you see? Hell milk. Hell milk. And it's the distinct because the cattles are eating that very healthy grass and everything. It has a certain flavor, that milk. Yum yum. So yeah, interesting. So thanks to the transhumans, there are yodelers and a lot of singing songs and festivals in Madrid. In every October, there is Fiesta de la Transhumancia, in which my voice, in which 2,000 sheep are gathered in the center of the Spanish capital. So amazing. So farmers are telling that long time ago there were millions of sheep in Abruzzo, but now are only like 200,000. So no more sheep. Why? I think that having sheep would be amazing. So yeah. So in Tricarico from Basilicata, in every year they make the transhumance of 17th of January, the holiday of Saint Antonius the Great, the protector of animals. So they have a lot of festivals for transhumance. I love this article too. Another interesting article from this magazine. This issue of National Geographic was packed with very, very good quality subjects. So this is, do you remember that at the beginning of the magazine they talked about autism? This is the story. This is the story of people which are on the spectrum, and it's very difficult to find a job, a partner, or to live independently. Yeah, look, this is one guy with autism, and this guy, the story of the picture, I love the picture. I loved the picture. I love it because it's in black and white, but I love it. It's Luke Zendam. He is 19 years old, and he's caressing his cheek with the with a vacuum tube from the place of the car washing from Rising Tide from Florida. partner Tom Airy opened this car wash place with his father in order to offer a job to him and his autistic brother. So a lot of people are opening family businesses in order to help their kids, which are autistic, to find a job. Nice, really, really nice. I love this picture too of a couple of girls who are playing. I love this one. Look at her finger. Look. It's like, see? Really, really, really nice. They are being playful, like, yeah. I love this picture too. It's the picture of a couple. This is the couple. They're both autistic. This is the mother of the girl. He is 27, she is 23. They are like doing lovey-dovey kind of things, and they are still depending on their parents. But there was an ethical discussion that do autistic people deserve to find love? And I think they do. And I love that, I love this photo. The mother is sipping from a cup, and there are so much here, like in the moment. And this is like, look at her looks. Look, she's in love. And I love that they're living their moment, and her mother is doing her thing. And this is a fantastic photography. I love it. So yeah, so nice. This is love captured in the photo. Look at this. Look how lovely. It's like here is another I love this picture. Yeah, me too. So it's quite difficult for autistic to find work. This is a picture. As you can see, it's in a train station. You can see a guy here and another two guys here. So the guy from the picture here is an autistic kid. He is 18 years old. He's the son of the author Judith Newman, and he comes every Saturday at the terminal of the Grand Central Station of New York to talk with the conductors. He knows everybody's names. Autistic people are very smart in some areas, and he knows all the routes, all the schedules, and he likes to share brochures with the train schedule and to guide the passengers. He's autistic, but he likes to have this routine of, a lot of times autistic are perceived as antisocial, but actually they have a different whole universe and a different way of interacting and a different way of expressing emotions. And I loved the fact that he was accepted. And yeah, very, very nice. This is another picture with kids. They have like they are making certain behaviors to suit themselves, and he's manifesting auto-stimulatory repetitive behavior called stimming. So when they are stressed, they are doing a repetitive kind of thing in trying to soothe themselves. So people see this as weird. I love the picture of this woman behind. Look at her looks. Look. She's like, interesting. And this is like they're in their universe. They're imitating each other. They're friends. So one of these kids, he was marginalized and bullied by the other kids, and he's 12, and because he got bullied and by other kids, he is trying to control his aggressive behavior as an autistic, and that's why he is doing this kind of steaming repetitive behavior. So how about employment? Over 8 from 10 adults autistic don't have a job, or they have something way low under their capacity. Most of them want a partner, they want somebody to love, but only a third or maximum a half have one. And as in for marriage, very few actually get married. In United States, there are over 4 million autistic people, but I love this. But definitely there are more than 4 million people that are loving them, which are loving them. So yeah, this is quite a disturbing picture of a mother trying to soothe her son, 21 years old, after an affect crisis during the program Joy Do from Midland Park. Whew. So he's having a crisis, and his mother is trying to soothe him. Very difficult. I cannot imagine what's in the heart of a mother not dealing with this. I don't think a mother thinks about these kind of crisis. I think a mother might be consumed of the fact that what will happen after she will no longer be there to care for the child. I think that's a concern. So there is a book, To Siri with Love, about a woman growing her autistic child. I think I'll search that. And National Geographic also talks about that car wash place where a lot of autistic are being employed, and they love the sense of community. They feel that they belong somewhere. They feel that they are accepted. What a wonderful thing to do this. Another picture where I really loved. I love the picture. These pictures precisely for the reason that they show emotion, the very thing that people suspect autistic not to have. This is another girl in a crisis. She's having a crisis because of homework. She's being stressed and she cannot control her emotions, and she has an anger crisis, and her sister, which is 6 years old, is supervising her. Look at the looks of the girls, of the facial expressions, especially the little sister. She's having the crisis, doing homework, and her little sister is helplessly looking at her. A very powerful image. Yeah, the only thing she could do is sit there and help her sister just with her presence. Yeah. So again, back at the car washing place, they were being asked, the autistic employees, they were being asked, what do you like here? Why do you work here? Why do you enjoy working here? And they loved because they had a friend, they had someone to talk to. It's never boring. Okay, I love this too. This is virtual reality training. They are trying to make autistic kids live some life situations, and trying to train them how to react prior getting into that kind of situation. Um, it's Celebrate Children in New Jersey. It's a school with kids between 3 and 21 years old, trying to help the youngsters to develop cognitive abilities, creativity, and flexibility, to face the tough challenges of life. So virtual reality used in a good way. I love this. This is a nice picture of a couple. This is a nice picture of a couple playing with a cat. The cat is quite an acrobat. Look at that. Cute little cat. So, yeah, very, very lovely. He is autistic. This is his wife. His wife is not autistic. He is he works at a shop for animals, and he said that he find it much more comfortable to work in an environment where he wouldn't have to deal with a lot of people. So see, autistic people are different. Some might enjoy the camaraderie, some might not. We don't have to judge them. Okay, I love this picture too. This is the mother and the son, and she's trying to teach him how to shave. And their story is quite interesting. She's Denise Resnick, and Matt, her son, is 27 years old. She is a real estate woman, and she made a community in Phoenix, Arizona, with 55 flats for those who want to independently live, for the autistic people. What a great initiative to make such a community. There is a program, Rutgers program, that makes studies and classes for the autistic adults. It's the first program of its kind at an American university for autistic people. So I loved one question from the story. It says, yes, the autistic people need and desire order and predictability, but is there a problem if autistic people also want love? I think everybody could. I think it's only fair to allow yourself to also feel love, even if you're autistic. But this woman talks about his about her son's sexual experience, and she talks that he's unaware of the fact that he got hooked up with a hooker, and he thought he found the love of his life, but that hooker only wanted the money for her time, and he was devastated when the hooker went away, and he was like, okay, bye, hello. He was devastated. So they have problems with understanding some concepts. I don't know if you know her, but I don't know if you watched the movie. Terry Grandin, she is a world-known autistic lady. A picture with her. This is Terry Grandin. I recommend you watching the movie with Terry Grandin. It blew me away. So this is a picture. This is a picture taken after a conference about autism in Georgia, and this is a commemoration for the person with disabilities killed by their take carers. So people that don't do a job if you're not prepared for it, like, oh my god. Yeah. So she says about some positive things about autistic people, that they are following the rules, they are loyal, they are speaking their minds. So autistic people are more than it meets the eye, and you need a lot of patience to get to know them. So the next article is about insects. I love this picture of the butterfly. Really, really nice picture of the butterfly. Amazing. So this is actually the main theme of this number, but it's almost at the end. Funny thing. So actually, insects are almost disappearing. This is a butterfly, Cerces. You've read my mind. I plan to use this as a reference image for my next pointillism drawing. You caught me, Adam. And this butterfly was last seen 80 years ago. How did you know? So this butterfly no longer exists. It has been seen 80 years ago. Oh my god. I'm so like, how did you know? This is a lot of scientists are putting this kind of little pieces of cloth with light to check how many insects are gathering at night. And actually there are fewer and fewer and fewer. Okay, this will give you an idea. Some entomologists from Krefeld, Germany, collected insects for 2 weeks in 1944 and in 2016 from 63 protected areas. Between 1989 and 2016, the insects biomass dropped with 76%. Let me show you. This is a massive drop. We no longer have insects. Oh my god. Look. This. Massive. Massive, massive, massive drop. Oh my god. Sad. This is an interesting picture of all kinds of. I loved this one. This. Look, this is a butterfly. But this is so interesting. Look how many insects. Look. So interesting. It gives the names and the everything. Again, about a guy studying butterflies. This is the guy, kind of hippie, love the look. And this is a guy like that managed to follow an eruption of butterflies, California tortoise shells, and the butterflies from Castle Peak, one of the most followed species of butterflies in the world. In every summer for 45 years, people monitored this species of butterfly, and they started declining in 2011. So it has been estimated that in any second there are 10 quintillion insects that are flying, floating, marching, digging tunnels and swimming around us. 10 quintillion insects. 80% of all diverse animals in the world are insects. So amazing, so amazing. And a thing that I totally approve, a famous biologist, Edward Wilson, says that if people would suddenly disappear, the earth would regenerate and it would become to the state of abundance that was 10,000 years ago. But if insects would disappear, the whole world would collapse. Guys, this is such a reality check. If we would disappear, the earth would be fine. If insects would disappear, the earth would suffer. So we are worse than insects. Oh, humanity. So yeah. So yeah, it's true, and I agree with it. Not all people are bad, but people have a problem in respecting nature and living in harmoniously with it without destroying it. Yeah, we're bad. Uh, a German scientist went and collected insects from different areas from Germany, and this collecting process lasted over 20 years in 63 protected areas. The analysis confirmed that from 1989 up to 2016, the insects, there was a drop of 76% in the insects population. How is it called? The Guardian told that it's ecological Armageddon. New York Times talked about the insects Armageddon. Frankfurter Allgemein declared that we are in a nightmare. So yeah, horrible. And a study over the butterflies from Holland confirmed that the number of these butterflies dropped with 85%. Ah, no more butterflies. Oh my god. So when there are 1 million species of insects like discovered and named, but there are even more 4 millions. So imagine that one species of wasps called the Darwin's wasps is also containing another 1,000 species. So there are so many species from one little kind of little bug. Amazing. Yeah. So interesting fact about an insect, about sleepy mosquito. There is a mosquito called the sleepy mosquito, and that mosquito lives in Africa, and he has larvae that are shrinking, and when there are very dry periods of times, they enter into a hibernation, suspended animation, and they can get back to life even after 15 years. Hello, sleepy mosquito. You can do hibernation for 15 years. Hello, we can. If scientists could grasp the technology that these insects are using to sleep themselves away for 15 years and then get back to life, why are we killing these insects when we could learn so much from them? So again, pictures with birds. Yeah, it's so fragile, we destroy them, but maybe that's why viruses appear and destroy us, because we I get a feeling that human population, I don't know, there is the universe maybe trying to make a balance, because it's not fair to live on a planet and destroy it like an invader. I think there is universal justice being done, maybe. Who knows? So they say, merit theorists. I'm just saying that we are all energy and we should do what we should do, not what we want to do. And insects are very, very important. So there are this, how do you call these little insects which are carrying dump from the cows, and they are rolling them into little like chocolate balls, and they're very important. And it's really, really important because they are dung beetles, exactly. And the dung beetles are very, thank you, I don't the dung beetles are very important because they are working on the dung, and it's very it takes them 23 months to do that. If they wouldn't exist, it would take 28 months for nature to do it on its own. But these beetles make it the process of working that thing faster. So insects are very good as pesticides. Let me tell you why. Think about it. So there are insects which are eating other insects, like this little thing. It's like those little green things from the leaves called aphids, and which are damaging the plant. And they can eat up to 1 million aphids a day from a half of hectare. Hello, you do not need pesticides to kill all the insects, everything. Just let nature do its thing. So amazing. So the insects could save agricultural people up to billions of dollars per year. Oh my god, what are we doing? We are killing the insects and then we spend money to put pesticides? Oh, humanity. So yeah, let's talk about pollinating insects. That almost 90% of all the species of plants with flowers and 75% of the species of plants of culture are depending of pollination. Interesting fact, and think about it when you have your meal. Yes, bees are so important. So think about it when you have your meal for today, that oh, I'm so excited about this information, that every one of 3 mouthfuls of food that we consume, one is produced as a result of pollination. Oh, the phone fell. I think the phone got so excited. So yeah, imagine that you are doing that. Imagine that from one mouthful, one is due to pollination. So from 3 mouthfuls, one is due to pollination. Imagine. So yeah. So another interesting thing, termites. I didn't know that's. Can you see why I'm loving National Geographic? I'm finding so many things from it. So a colony of termites can excavate over 250 kilos of soil per year. A bumblebee can visit and contribute for pollination for over 3,000 flowers per day. Look, and termites. Who would have thought that termites are so important? People usually want to terminate the termites, but it's like, why do that if they do so much? It's like they are mixing the soil for us. And yeah, look, this bird This bird is responsible for gathering up to 100 caterpillars per day to feed a single baby of bird, a single baby bird. Yeah, so birds have their purpose. Imagine a world without birds. It would be horrible. Horrible. The big unknown. Scientists consider that there are over 1,000 more species of insects than mammals, from which we only know 5,500, but we only identified 1/5 of them. So insects are disappearing. We only know so little, and it's so much undiscovered. It's so fascinating, isn't it? So fascinating. So I love this image. First of all, I was thinking, what's in here? Like bags? Look. These are bags. These are bags. This is like a zoo in a research station from La Selva from Costa Rica, these are bags with leaves on which we have caterpillars, and they are studying. It's a desperate science. So this is a caterpillar, but it's eaten by larvae. I know it's gross, but look the detail. So insects have been the magazine is not bending. Insects have been the first animals that colonized the dry land over 500 million years ago. So insects were 200 million years before dinosaurs. So dinosaurs suck. Insects were first. So imagine the importance of insects. Amazing. So this is a picture with insects trap, that little thing that I told you that scientists are doing. They're putting light and a piece of cloth, and they are drawing insects in. So this is a picture. So this is a trap with light from Kirikawa Mountains from Arizona. Nice. This is ebony dragonfly. Look, I was obsessed with dragonflies when I was a child. We had a yard in our school, and after classes I went with my friends and we were following dragonflies. I was fascinated by the bluish hue of their wings. So colorful. This is this is from the eastern North America. So yeah, insects are very important for spreading the seeds. Very, very important. Interesting thing, there is a bird which is feeding the offsprings only with caterpillars. They need over 5,000 caterpillars to feed a nest full with baby birds up until their feathers grow. Aww. So really, and the dung beetles help nutrients to go back into the soil. Termites are doing the same thing by eating up the wood. With no insects, the organic material would start to pile up. This is a gross fun fact, but I will read it. In good conditions, the meat flies can consume 60% from a dead body, a dead human body in a week. So actually, when people get buried, it wouldn't be so much easier if there wouldn't be insects and flies and all kind of things to consume that. So even if it's gross, it's nature. So yeah. So parasitic insects are helping to maintain the control of caterpillars which are eating the crops. Ew, I know, ew, but it's true. Ew, it's true. So yeah. So another picture with Graham Montgomery, a student, which is gathering insects from the forest. Look, I'd love to do this too. Look, he's gathering. I wish I could have had a thing like this to go and like catch insects, but to release them, no. And one researcher says that in 1963, when he started to come in Costa Rica, the dry season was lasting for only 4 months, but now it's lasting. It's not too late to get a net. Oh, you're such a joker, I know. So now the dry season lasts for 6 months, so that's affecting the insects. So yeah. Also very important to eliminate glyphosate. Glyphosate. It's a very toxic thing that a lot of farmers are using on their crops. No, because this is eliminating essential plants that the insects needs. So no. So one of the few organizations in the world that are dedicated to preserve these little insects is the Xerces Society for Portland, Oregon. So I'm very happy that people are starting societies to help the insects and everything. Oh, the end! It's the end! I can't believe it. In our magazine. So this was the last subject with the insects, and it's done. Oh my god, time flies. No! What? It feels like I started 10 minutes ago. Hello, where is the time? I think time flies when you're reading books. So yeah, this is the number, guys. I enjoyed it immensely. A particular, so let's read it again. So my favorite subjects were the insects, the autistic story, and I loved the Second World War heroes story. I loved it. Ion Dobran, the Romanian hero. I couldn't believe my eyes. So I totally recommend buying this. Investing in National Geographic is, I don't know, like the bumblebee and pollinating essential. And I'll see you next time. I can already tell you which book I'm going to talk about next time because I was shocked. I was amazed. I was inspired, and I was catching wings after reading this book. I bought it just because it had a little thing on the front cover called something about creativity, and I was like, I think I'm gonna buy it. And the book is this one. This is the book I'm going to talk about next week. Fascinating. It's small. It looks average. It's amazing. It's everything I would have wished to be told when I was a bit younger just to get a hold of my creativity in a better way. But it's never too late, and this is the book for creative people. Yeah, so spoiler alert. So, thank you for the time, thank you for listening, and I hope that you have a great weekend and go. Oh, yeah, you're gonna love it, Adam. You're gonna love it. It's such a nice book. I can't wait to talk about it. It's 40% with the pen overlined, like this is important, this is important, this is very important. It's amazing. A really good book. And I totally hope you'll buy National Geographic and read it. Definitely worth it. So thank you very much. I didn't have so many phone drops today in my stream, which makes me quite proficient in phone streaming. And have a lovely weekend. I'm gonna lift my phone in order to press the button. Thank you and bye.